الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Please read with me. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله. The Prophet of mankind, the peace of our hearts and mind, the most generous and kind, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, has stated, O people, undoubtedly from the terror and accountability of the day of judgment, the person who would attain the quick salvation would be the one who would have recited the Durood Sharif upon me in abundance. So in love and devotion to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, let's recite the Durood Sharif upon him, inshallah. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Now, if you remember, first of all, for the viewers at home, the sound system door is locked, so I can't activate the microphone. So, inshallah, I'll speak loud enough so that it'll be able to pick my voice up, and inshallah, that everyone will be able to hear me, inshallah. So, carrying on from last week's speech, the two stories that I mentioned, do you remember?
Yeah.
You remember, yeah? MashaAllah. So starting off with the Quran ayah, Inna Shaytaan lakum aduun fatakhiduhu aduun, sorry. Meaning the translation is that the Shaytaan is an enemy for you all, so treat him as an enemy. And I went on to say that Imam al-Ghazali used to teach his students the 66 attacks of the Shaytaan, not the Quran, not to memorize the Quran. And today's lecture will be expanding upon that. You know, I mentioned the attacks of the Shaytaan, we mentioned the stories of how the Shaytaan became the Shaytaan, how he became accursed, and how arrogant he was, and how he affects a human being, how he affects a person. But how do we recognize his attacks and try and stay away, or try and put a shield up against his attacks? That's what inshallah we'll go through today. So during this lecture, you know, when you start learning the attacks of the Shaytaan, then you'll realize what the scholars have said when they say the Shaytaan is a thief. You'll realize what they're saying when he is a robber, a thief. You know, people say, oh, he's a thief of Iman, he will take your Iman away. But for example, let's say you're in your house, you're sat in your front room and you can see your front door. And let's say you got robbed last week and of some possessions, and let's say the exact same time as last week, and now you see that the robber from the outside, you can see that the robber has come again at the exact same time. So you're inside your house, you're sat in your living room, and you're looking at your front door, and you can see the robber coming towards it. So you can see him, but he can't see you. So you see him, you know, picking the lock. So it's slowly opening up the lock here, but you're just waiting there for him to see you as soon as he opens the door. So you're looking at the door, it slowly opens. You've clocked him already, you know he's already there. But what the thief doesn't know is that there's someone behind that door. So he opens the door slowly, and the first thing he sees is what? You there smiling at him, just waiting for him already. What's the thief gonna do? Huh? Run. The thief is gonna run away. Why? Humiliation, he's scared, he's been caught. He's running away. And that's exactly how it is with the Shaytaan. Exactly the same, my brothers. If we learn the attacks of the Shaytaan, we put that guard up and say, oh, I know you're coming. The Shaytaan will run away. But he's more cunning than that. He will not stay away, he'll come at a different angle. So we have to be very, very wary. Hazrat Yahya bin Mu'az radiallahu ta'ala anhu has truly said that the Shaytaan is sitting at leisure. He's just relaxing from a distance, whilst you are occupied with the dunya. So whilst we are occupied with our worldly things, the Shaytaan is sitting and is watching you carefully, whilst you do not see him. You do not see the Shaytaan, but he sees you. You have forgotten about the Shaytaan, but he hasn't forgotten you. The Shaytaan will not forget you. He is after you. And the Shaytaan also has a helper in you. It is therefore imperative, so important, that you fight him and you defeat him. You cannot be secure from corruption and ruin unless you do this. This is from the wise words of Hazrat Yahya bin Ma'az radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that we must be aware of the shaitan. If you remember last week, I mentioned the wallet story that I call it, the wallet story. You're walking down Windsor Road, you have £1 million in your pocket, you're going to be checking your wallet every 2 seconds, see if the money's there. Oh, is it there still? Yeah, okay, it's still there. The same way we should be checking for the shaitan, if he's attacking us or not. This is how wary we should be. Now we'll move on to some things that should be open to the shaitan. 3 doors. Imam al-Zali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he mentioned that there's 3 doors that should never be open to the shaitan from ourselves. If you open these doors, then you are then prone to being attacked by the shaitan. Door number 1 is the door of anger. Never ever open the door of anger, my brothers, to the shaitan. Why? Why never open the door of anger? We see what happens when people get angry. They lose their senses and anything can happen. People have arguments, people commit sins, and may Allah just save us from this. When people get angry, they even kill people and commit the sin of killing another Muslim as well. So it's very, very important that we do not open the door of anger to the shaitan. Keep that in mind, number 1. The door number 2 is the door of desire. The door of desires. Meaning, keep your desires and lusts away. If you open the door of desires and lusts and you follow your desires and lusts, then the shaitan will you're making easy pickings for the shaitan. Control your desires with the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Control your desires before your desires control you. You know, we say we're human beings that we're in control. I'm in control of my life. What's going on? You know what I mean? That's what the big people say. I'm in control of my life. You're not in control of your life. Your desires are in control of your life. You follow your desires. It's not your desires are following you. The Sahaba Ikram radiallahu ta'ala anhum, they were all wealthy, very, very wealthy people. But they controlled their desires. They controlled their wealth. Their desires and wealth did not control them like how it is today. Remember this, my brothers. And door number 3, which is unfortunately very prevalent amongst many of us youngsters, actually throughout the whole Muslim Ummah. Throughout the whole Muslim Ummah, unfortunately. And this door number 3 is the door of negligence. The door of heedlessness. The door of carelessness. You know, I see on social media a lot of people argue, let's say for example, about some certain topic about Islam. Okay, and you'll get these Twitter muftis, these Facebook muftis and scholars that come out of nowhere and they drop their fatwas. And they don't know even how to recite the Quran properly, the letters of the Quran properly. You know, even myself, I'm not allowed to be able to give detailed descriptions and answers on topics, one that I don't know, even if topics that I'm sure about, I have to refer back to my books to make sure. I'm only a student. Even when I'm a scholar, I'll be doing the same thing, referring back to my books. There's no weakness in referring back to my books. People say, oh, you don't remember it. Allah, I'd rather make sure that what I remember is correct than get it wrong and give the wrong answers to people. So, make sure you actually know your religion first. Make sure you actually know. People think, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to one lecture and they're a big mufti sahib now. That's what happens, unfortunately. You get excited, you get the term that the youth are using, they get gassed. They get very happy, you know, because it is exciting sometimes learning Islamic knowledge. But be very wary that the shaitan will also attack you in this way. Be wary that the shaitan will cause you to have arrogance and try and answer people and try and contradict people as well. You're not a scholar, my brother, unless you are, and if you're watching this, mashallah. But you're not a scholar. Leave it to the scholars. If you have any questions, any doubts, if someone even asks you a question, ask a scholar. And even then the scholar, he'll probably go and ask a mufti. Just in case, to make sure, or he'll refer to his books. He refers to his books and fatwa to see if it's correct. So this is the door of negligence. And again, how many people know the Farz al-Ulum? How many people know the Farz al-Namaz, the Wajibat al-Namaz, if you're in the Hanafi fiqh school of thought? How many know the Wajibat al-Namaz? How many know the Farz al-Wuzu, Farz al-Ghusl? How many people know this? There's 30 Wajibat al-Namaz. Who knows all 30? All these questions and these answers, they should be in our heads that this is Farz upon us to know, Wajib upon us to know. Necessarily, we have to learn this. How many of us know how to recite the Quran properly with tajweed? Again, this is something we have to know. But this door of negligence is very, very prevalent amongst us all today. You know, some people, they think of modernizing Islam as well. That's a door of negligence, heedlessness, because they don't know Islam properly. People, astaghfirullah, they say that if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was alive today, Islam would be different. Allahu Akbar. How would Islam be different? Islam would be the same, or the teachings would be the same. Obviously, we humans, we are the Muslims, we are the ones that make it wrong. Islam is pure, and so is the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, after telling you these three doors, number one, door of anger. Number two, door of desire. Number three, the door of negligence. Try and stay aware, my brothers. As soon as you're negligent, the shaitan will come and attack you. As soon as you follow your desire, the shaitan will come and attack you. As soon as you get angry, the shaitan will come and attack you. So be very, very wary. You know this now. You know this now, inshallah. Remember this and try and act upon it, inshallah. So now I've given you these doors, but how can we go on to move and say, how do we defeat the shaitan? How can we make him go away from us? Now, the scholars have divided opinions on this. Some scholars say, with the dhikr of Allah, what do we read before Quran tilawat? What do we read before we sometimes do anything? What do we read in namaz as well? A'udhu billahi min shaytan rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allah Azza wa Jal, I seek refuge with Allah Azza wa Jal from the accursed shaitan. Allah Azza wa Jal, protect me from the accursed shaitan. This is what we recite. And some of the scholars say, keep reciting this inshallah Azza wa Jal, then you'll be safe from the shaitan. Other scholars, they have said, through spiritual struggle, that we have to strive hard and struggle hard to make sure that we are not affected by the shaitan's attacks. And Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi combines both opinions, that we should try and struggle as hard as much as we can, but also pray to Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us safe from the shaitan, keep us protected from the shaitan. Imam Ghazali, he says in his Minhaj al-Abidin rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he says that the shaitan is like a dog. It's like a dog that Allah Azza wa Jal has released upon you, has released upon the people. The shaitan is a dog that has been released by Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what Imam Ghazali says. Imagine it. The shaitan is a dog. And if you restrain and drive away a dog, what happens? It'll stay away from you. It's not going to come up to you, you ignore it, leave it, chullo, it's not going to bark, it's not going to do anything. But as soon as you divert your attention towards it, as soon as you think of following it, and you give it the attention that it wants, meaning give the shaitan the attention it wants, what does the dog do? It barks at you, it jumps at you, maybe even bites at you. So Imam Ghazali says, do not give your attention to this dog. Do not. Be aware that it's there. Be aware of the attacks that it might do to you. Do not give the attention to it. Do not follow what the dog wants, the shaitan wants. That's very important for Imam Ghazali. And Imam Ghazali, he goes further to say that the way we protect ourselves from the shaitan is what? Mujahad, that spiritual struggle, and the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now I want to tell you how powerful the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal is when it comes to fighting against the shaitan. Yeah? Narrated by Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti rahmatullahi ta'ala in his Jami' al-Saghir, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, indeed, the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal, the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, at the side of the shaitan, meaning whilst the shaitan is present, is like gangrene to the son of Adam alayhi salam. Now, some of you might be thinking, what's gangrene? What's gangrene? Gangrene is a disease. First of all, gangrene is a disease, right? Now, just not Googling it if you're squeamish, weak-hearted, but just to make an idea of what gangrene is to a human being, then you can Google it and you can see what it is, right? So gangrene is a disease, let me explain first and then you can Google it inshallah. So gangrene is a disease where the alive bodily tissue of your skin and below the skin, etc., it starts rotting and decomposing due to a lack of circulation of blood within that area. So for example, your feet and hands or whichever area, it starts rotting before your very eyes and you're becoming a living corpse basically, like a zombie as they say. The real zombie epidemic is coming around. May Allah protect us from this as well. So imagine you had gangrene, for example, yeah, and your whole leg, so my left leg here, yeah, it was all rotting. You know, it's all rotting and it's smelling, it's decomposing. You know, rotten flesh, it has that pungent, disgusting smell to it as well. So you're living with that 24/7. What would a man do when he has gangrene? What would he do? I know what I'd do. I'd go straight to the doctor and say, amputate it. Take it off. Please amputate my leg, Dr. Saab. Amputate my leg. Take it off. That's the first thing I would do if I knew I had gangrene. The way the human has disgust to this gangrene, once their leg chopped off, is the same way the zikr of Allah is to the shaitan. That's how the zikr of Allah is to the shaitan. So when you do the zikr of Allah, the shaitan absolutely hates it. You know when I say the word hate, you know, we say hate all the time. But hate is such a strong and powerful word. I'm talking the most extreme meaning of the word hate. That's what the shaitan hates, the zikr of Allah. So be very wary. This is one way to protect yourself as well, the zikr of Allah. That's why the awliya karam, they say be constant in the zikr of Allah. So now that you know this about the zikr of Allah, when a bad idea or notion comes into your head that you want to commit this sin, for example, or something's come inside your head about another Muslim, then think to yourself, if I read the zikr of Allah, then that thought might go away. So, to go through it, start reading the zikr of Allah. And you know, the main thing is with the shaitan, he attacks you most when you're alone. When you're alone. So if you're by yourself, this is when the shaitan tries his hardest against you. So if you get an idea in your head, for example, start doing the zikr of Allah. That's bad. Then start doing the zikr of Allah. Start reading through the names of Allah, the 99 names. Allahu Rahman Rahim, Malik al-Qudus, Salam al-Mu'min, al-Mahim, al-Aziz, al-Jabbar, al-Mutaqabbir, al-Khaliq, and carry on. I don't know if I know much further, but keep doing it. Go through a couple of cycles, and as soon as, if that idea pops out of your head, then know that that idea was from the shaitan, and that he's run away now because you've been doing the zikr of Allah. So that idea goes out of your head. Now your mind is pure, inshallah. But if it turns out that you've read through the names of Allah, all 99, several times, you've been doing it for 5-10 minutes, and this idea is still inside your head, then realize that this idea is from your own nafs inside of you. Your innermost being, which desires bad things sometimes. Your inner desires, your inner lusts. That is what has given you this idea. So then know that this idea is from your nafs, and it's also a test from Allah. This idea that's come into your head, that's from your nafs, is a test from Allah, and it's to test you, are you really onto Allah's religion? Are you really going to follow the path of Rasulullah? Are you really going to struggle and strive like Sayyidina al-Ghawsi radiallahu ta'ala? Are you really going to do that? That is the question. When you realize that this idea in your head is a test from Allah, then you can look at it differently. This way that I can gain good deeds, inshallah, let's stay away from it. It's a test from Allah. I want to pass it, I want to prove to Allah that I'm good enough. That I'm good enough to be one of His servants. But then, for example, if you fail, then do not let it happen like an avalanche. I found a picture the other day, or yesterday even. It was of dominoes, and they started off this small, very, very small. And they gradually got bigger and bigger and bigger. They were going in a circle, bigger, until it was like a city skyscraper, yeah? And there was a person at the small domino, like this. And he goes, maybe if I just commit this sin one time. They're all labelled sins. Right? So the caption out of the guy's mind is, maybe if I only commit this one little sin. And then it's slightly tipping over. But the moral of this image is, if you kick over that little sin, then you'll do a bigger one, 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 which may even lead to kufr. So be very, very careful when it comes to failing this test. We want to please Allah Azza wa Jalla as much as possible. Our maqsad of life, what's maqsad in English? The word has failed me. Maqsad in life, our purpose in life is to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla and to stay obedient to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So we have to do this. We'll try and pass this test until the next test comes. Remember that Allah Azza wa Jalla tests the ones that He loves. Allah Azza wa Jalla tests the one that He loves. So be happy that Allah Azza wa Jalla is testing you like this. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us pass all the tests that He gives us, inshallah Azza wa Jalla. Now that we know, one, the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jalla, if an idea comes into our heads, and if it's from the nafs or the shaytaan. Now, how can we actually know the shaytaan's cunning tricks and ideas? Number one, we must know two things. The shaytaan has the power of whispering temptations. Waswas, as we all know, as we've been told, yeah, waswas. And our parents teach us very, very young about waswas. But there's a slightly bit more to it. Rasulullah ﷺ has said in Muslim Sharif, narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that there is no one except that he has a companion from amongst the evil jinns with him. So everyone has a companion from the evil jinns in his heart that will help the shaitan to try and go against this person. So he'll give you evil whispering sometimes as well. Sometimes it isn't the shaitan. Sometimes it's this evil jinn. But we treat them exactly the same. We have to fight both. So remember when Hazrat Yahya bin Ma'az, what I said before, that the shaitan has a companion inside of you and you must fight him to win. That's the companion I was talking about. And this is all in Imam Ghazali's book, Minhaj al-Abidin. So this evil jinn is inside of us and it's been entrusted to us. So then the companions, they asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you also have this evil jinn with you? And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he replied, and I also have that with me, except that Allah Azza wa Jal, He assists me against him. And now that evil jinn has become Muslim and he does not command me except to do good now. Subhanallah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the only person in this world with that benefit, that his evil jinn is in fact a good jinn, a Muslim, and commands him to do good. Subhanallah. This shows the greatness of the Rasul and the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the only person, only creation to have this blessing. So for us, we have to make sure that we fight this evil jinn and make sure that the shaitan cannot enter through him either. We have to be very, very careful. But there's more. There's more. Allah Azza wa Jalla has also entrusted to our hearts an angel. And this angel, it always invites you to do good. For example, have you ever just been sitting at home? I don't know, you sat on your couch or chair or something, or you're in bed, and you think to yourself, oh, let's do some zikr of Allah, let's read some duruji, let's read some Quran, let's read an Islamic book, let's, I don't know, do wuzu and do 2 rakat nafal for shukr, or for salat al-tawbah, inshallah. So you have an idea pop in your head, that's good. But then you have this conversation with yourself and you're thinking, I'll leave it. Or you might say, yeah, go on then. So it's one of the either two. You have a conversation with yourself. Know that this idea was from that angel inside of you. This angel inside of you gives you that idea. It's called mulhim inside of you. Your angelic inspirer is called. And when I explain this to some of my fellow students, they go, mulhim is my boy. Why? Because he's telling me to do good things. Have love for mulhim inside of you. You know when we give salam at the end of namaz, taslim. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Who do we give salam to? Who are we giving salam to? Obviously, you got your angel on your right, angel on your left, that right, you're down, your good deeds and bad deeds. You got the people to your right, the Imam Sahib if he's on your right, the children on your right, the angels on your right, the jinns on your right, the children, I probably said them, all the people on your right, and then the people on your left as well. But also have the intention for mulhim inside of you, inside of your heart. Because he only wants goodness for you. So if he wants goodness for you, the least we could do is send salam to him as well. He wants goodness for us. So inshallah we'll send salam to him. Make that intention from now on when you finish your namaz, inshallah. So, quickly to go over, there's an evil jinn that only tells us to do bad, and there's a good angel that only tells us to do good, inshallah, inside our hearts. So it has been mentioned by Imam Ghazali Shaykh that the shaitan can sometimes also advise you to do good. He can always call you to something that seems like a good idea to you at first, but actually it could mean a bad idea. In the end, it's only for your destruction is this good idea. So I'll give you an example. I remember hearing a story many years ago now. I'm only 23, so I can't say many years, but I give it 5, maybe 10. That a new edition of the Quran came out. I don't know, it's some beautiful Quran that came out. And it was only being sold in London, right? And someone from Scotland or the north of England decided, you know what, I want this Quran really badly. We'll spend money in the way of Allah, so we buy this beautiful Quran to read and put in the house, inshallah. So he had this intention, okay, let's go. We'll go drive down, we'll buy this Quran, inshallah, and drive back, and I've got a brand new Quran that I can read, which is beautiful, inshallah. So he had this good intention. He wanted to spend money for the pleasure of Allah. So he goes down, and you know, it takes more than 4 hours to get to London, so 4, 5, 6 hours depending on where he's travelling from in the north of England and in Scotland. So he's taking a lot of hours out of the day. And he didn't stop once to read his namaz. He didn't once stop to read his salah. So then we can say that this idea came from the shaitan. Make you do something that is worth a little. But he'll make you miss something that's worth a lot. Make you miss something that's worth a lot. So you do something, spend money in the pleasure of Allah, subhanAllah. But you've missed your Zohar Jamaat and your Zohar Namaz. You've missed Asr Namaz and Asr Jamaat. You missed Maghrib Namaz and Maghrib Jamaat. You missed probably Isha Namaz, Isha Jamaat, depending if it's winter or not. So he's missed all them, and he's gone and bought a Quran. He's missed 5 namaz. The severity of these sins I've already documented. It's massive. And yet, he bought this Quran. You could say that idea was from the shaitan. Make you do something that's worth little, but you miss something that's worth so much. Another example, people stay up after Isha. Of course, we're all young lads, I've done the same. You stay up after Isha. You might even read the Tahajjud, subhanAllah. So you decide like, oh, I'm going to stay up in it. I'm going to read the Tahajjud, inshallah. Or read Salatul Layl, the night namaz, if you haven't fallen asleep. So you read, and let's say, for example, it's 3 in the morning. Yeah, 3 in the morning. And you've read 12 rakats, but after those 12 rakats, you're knackered. You're so tired. You're sitting on your masalla, you look at the time, oh, it's 3:30, I'm so tired. What time's Fajr? You check Fajr? Oh, 6:30. So you got 3 hours to wait. 3 hours to wait. So you're struggling, staying awake, you read Tasbih, you Durood Sharif, and then you fall asleep on your masalla. And then you wake up. And what time is it? 9, 10 o'clock. Wow. You missed your Fajr namaz. Allahu Akbar. The shaitan gave you this idea to stay up all night and read Tahajjud or this night salah. The shaitan gave you this idea so that you could read this nafal, which doesn't even count toward, which is nothing compared to your rakats of Fajr. Not even the 2 sunnats of Fajr is it compared to anything. So you've done something that's worth little and missed something that's worth a lot. So we have to be wary, even when we get good ideas. Do the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jalla and see, is this really a bad idea? Does the shaitan want to cause a destruction or not? Be very wary, my brothers. It is very, very important. Many ways the shaitan can attack us like this. So, now we move on. How can we differentiate between a good idea and a bad idea? Now, for some of you here, and fortunately on YouTube, if you're watching it there, you can rewind and make notes. And for the people here, should have probably told you to bring books and make notes, because this will carry on. So how to differentiate between a good idea and a bad idea? First of all, we measure the idea against Sharia. Against, first of all, the Quran. You know, we see in the Quran or Sunnah, or the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, See if it's what the Sahaba did, if it's what the Tabi'een did, if any of the Imams did, any of our pious predecessors, if that's what they did. So for example, to read namaz, yeah, we look at Sharia, namaz is good for you. It is further upon you. Do that thing. Another one, to drink alcohol. I have an idea to drink alcohol. Look to Quran and Sunnah. Quran has been forbidden. Quran, astaghfirullah. Wine has been forbidden. Wine has been forbidden. Alcohol has been forbidden. So this is haram. We stay away from that. Simple. Number two, if you can't find it on that scale of following the Quran or Hadith, then you have to look towards our pious predecessors. So, for example, you have Musa Baqir radiallahu ta'ala, you have Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. Any of our pious predecessors, you look at what they did. So, for example, you look at Gyarmi Sharif methods, for example. This is what our pious predecessors did. So we follow that. It's a good thing. Now, try and think of something against.
Spend a lot of money.
Spend a lot of money, maybe. Buy a burger and chips. Yeah? You want to buy a burger and chips. Now, there's nothing haram against this. Nothing haram buying a halal burger and chips, yeah? Enjoying yourself. But, is it what the pious predecessors did? No. Imam Al-Sibaq radiallahu ta'ala an went years without food. A year without food, a year without water, and a year without food and water. So, before their examples, stay away from this desire. Stay away from our desire to eat burger and chips. Have something else. Or even starve ourselves for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. How many of us can say that we have starved ourselves for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal? That we gave up eating, not fasting, that we give up a meal, for example, for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. We say, Ya Allah, I don't want to follow my desires for your pleasure, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal. How many of us have done that? It's a good thing when you do that. Your desires are then tamed. Not tamed, but they go from different things, especially for young men, they go away from different things, especially lust and desires, to desiring for food. So if you control the desire of food, then you can stop the desire for lust, or you can stop the lustful desires. Yeah? So that's a very important thing as well. So that's why they say the cure, or what a person should do when they can't get married and they're of age, a young man, they need to fast to control their sexual desires. That's what they say, and that's the best advice. Fasting. Control your food desires, and then your lustful desires. Inshallah, they'll go away and you'll be able to control yourself. That's where it comes back again. Control your desires, or your desires will control you. Yeah? So that was the second scale. Now we'll go to the third scale. If the idea you cannot decide from Quran or Sunnah, from your pious predecessors, then you've got to look deeply within yourself. Yeah? You have to look within yourself and you have to realize, what does my nafs say about this idea? So for example, again, getting a burger and chips. Yeah? We'll use that example again. My nafs, it wants me to do it. It's so happy. My mouth is watering because I want this food. My nafs is saying, yes, go for it. Then know that that is not a good idea for me. Even though it's halal, it's perfectly permissible. Anyone who does it, I'm not saying nothing against them. But if you want to control yourself and be the true people of Islam, then you stay away from this idea. Go against it, because that's what your nafs wants. Now, we'll do where your nafs says no, but you should do it. So for example, I have a shop at home, and sometimes my mother will ring me up, bless her soul. She'll bless her and guide her and protect her, and all our mothers, inshallah, as well. She'll wake me up at 5 in the morning on the phone and she'll go, Willie, can you come downstairs to the shop? I need help. Or paper boy's missing, I need you to do paper on. And you're not person at 5 in the morning, yeah. Let's say Fajr at 7 o'clock, yeah. At 5 in the morning you wake up and you're like, oh, do I really have to go down? I just want to go back to bed. That's what your nafs is saying. Your nafs wants to go back to bed. But then instantly I know that it's a bad idea to go back to sleep. Why? Because following my nafs, I want to go sleep. But the phone call that I see to go downstairs, my nafs doesn't want to do that. It stays away from it. There's a natural aversion away from it. It's proven by Quran and Sunnah as well. Listen to your mother. Sawab for the pleasure of Allah. Sawab helping my mother, relieving the difficulty of another Muslim. Sawab. So, follow your nafs when it tells you to do good things as well. That's another point I have to make. Sometimes our nafs will say, do good things. Come to the masjid, read Namaz. I was excited to deliver the speech today. because I think it's a very good topic that people will need to know and learn. And that's my nafs telling me that yes, this is a good topic today. So sometimes your nafs can tell you to do good things. So be wary of that. Your nafs will tell you to do good things as well. But again, on that first scale, Quran and Sunnah, we can see giving a speech for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal about Islam is a good thing. So your nafs can tell you to do good things as well. Just clarification as well. So that's how we can differentiate between a good idea and a bad idea. Now there's more to it as well. Just let me find it here. صلوا على الحبيب صلى الله تعالى على محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وآله وسلم. There we go. So now, how to differentiate an idea from Shaytaan or your nafs or from Allah Azza wa Jal. You can look at 3 different perspectives. Number 1, if you find that idea is not confusing and is very clear, then know it is from Allah Azza wa Jal or it's from your angelic inspired mulhim. There's a difference between the two, which we'll go through later on. Perspective 2, if you find the idea is confusing you, you don't know what the heck is going on inside your head yet, it's just there, then know it's from the Shaytaan. What's the Shaytaan's objective? To cause confusion in you, to cause fitna in the community. That is what the Shaytaan wants to do. So if you have any idea that's confusing your head, you heard someone say something that you're like, oh bro, I don't know what's going on here, then that idea could be from the Shaytaan. It could be from the Shaytaan. So be very wary, ask a scholar in these situations. Yeah? So before, when I was saying about the Shaytaan and the nafs, you know, the nafs is like a tiger. Yeah? Nafs is like a tiger. And it will keep on fighting you. So you're in battle with the tiger now. The tiger will keep on fighting you until it's won the battle or it's been slain. So you have to either slay your nafs or that tiger is going to slay you. No, I definitely know I'd rather slay the tiger, meaning my nafs, first. Not that it slays me. Yeah? And until it's been slain, then there's a big fight on our hands. This is what we call the true jihad of a Muslim. When people go around saying jihad, they throw these words around. This is the true jihad of a Muslim. Find your nafs every single day. That's what it is. And the Ghusi Baqir is one of the biggest examples of finding his nafs and destroying his nafs. Many awliya, they do this and they have this great attribute about them. Inshallah, we become these great awliya and have these great attributes within us as well. So the nafs is like a fanatic rebel, like the tiger. It fights with so much zeal and so much passion that will continue to do so until it's fallen. Now the Shaytaan, however, like a wolf, like a fox you could say, wily. It chases you from one side, or you turn it away. Like I said, you turn it away because you know it's coming there. It will instantly be coming from that side. So we have to be very aware. Very aware. So when I'm saying the wallet story again, be very aware of the Shaytaan. Be very wary of the Shaytaan. And this is the reality of the battle we face. You know, we've got a tiger inside of us, a fanatic rebel, and we've got a wolf surrounding us at all times. Be very aware. It's hard, but لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. There's no might, no power, except with Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah Azza wa Jal we pray to and ask for guidance, inshallah Azza wa Jal. So if you find an idea has come into your head through a sin that you've committed, for example, meaning, let's say you're starting your namaz, yeah? You're starting your namaz, Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah wa bihamdika wa tabarak asmuka wa ta'ala. But then, in your head comes an idea, a notion or a thought of a sin that you committed 2 weeks ago. What does this mean? What does this mean? That whilst you're reading namaz, this sin has come into your head. Now, know this, that this idea is from Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal has put this thought in your head. You might be thinking, why? Why has Allah Azza wa Jal put this mind inside my head? I mean, this thought inside my head, inside my mind. And this is, as you could say, in the best of terms, I can't think of a better word for it, but no, obviously Allah Azza wa Jal is free from this, that it's like insulting you. Like you have committed this sin, and you've come into my holy court to pray to me without asking for forgiveness first. You're not purified, and you're coming into the holy court and praying. So this thought is entered into our minds. This notion is entered into our minds for the sin and the result of the wickedness of that which we did. Allah Azza wa Jal, the correct word, is chastising us. It's chastising you because of that sin that you have committed. And you have to remember that there's always wisdom behind what Allah Azza wa Jal does. Why is this coming to my mind? Do thanks to Allah Azza wa Jal that this idea is coming to your mind. Because it might have been a sin that you committed years ago, but you forgot to repent for. So this idea is coming to your head, then you know from Allah Azza wa Jal that this is a sin that I've yet to repent for, that I've not asked for forgiveness for yet. So straight after that namaz, you beg Allah Azza wa Jal and you ask for forgiveness for that sin that you have committed. So in reality, this is actually a good idea put into our heads by Allah Azza wa Jal. A good idea, a good thought, because it makes us realize, it gives us regret in our hearts. Why is this coming to my mind whilst I'm praying? It's a good thing. So then we know what we've committed, what we've done. We have the chance. Some people don't get the chance to do tawbah and repent before they pass away. You never know when death comes. But Allah has given you the chance. Be grateful for that chance and follow upon that chance. Do tawbah inshallah and ask for forgiveness for the sin that you have committed. And if the person does not follow this advice and does not ask for forgiveness, then that sin will keep coming into your mind for the rest of your life until you repent. It will haunt you till the day you die. So do tawbah. It's the holy call of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's Allah Azza wa Jal's wake-up call. That's what it is. It's a wake-up call of Allah Azza wa Jal saying, how can you come into my holy call when you haven't purified yourself? You know, we do wuzu. What's a condition for namaz? Tahara, purity. Okay, we do wuzu, we gain outward purity. What about inward purity? We've heard the story, the parable of the king. If a king is coming to our house, we invite the king over. We just clean the outside, we do wuzu, yeah? But then inside everything is dirty. Our hearts are dirty, black. We have to purify our hearts. Ask for forgiveness from Allah Azza wa Jal. Do the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. And then, once we get the inner cleanliness and purity, then we can have proper humility and concentration in namaz. That's what we strive for. And then perspective number 3, very detailed, isn't it, today? If the notion or idea is not weak, it is strong, but it doesn't lack in the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal, nor is it quick to fade away, then the idea is from the nafs as well. Because the nafs again can tell you to do good things as well. So if you have the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal still there, but it's very, let's go, let's do it, then it's from your nafs wanting to do something good. Your nafs can want something to do good as well. But if the idea is weak and it causes zikr to be shorter, then it is from the shaytaan. You know, the shaytaan, he's forever crouching upon the hearts of the son of Adam alayhi salam. If the son of Adam alayhi salam remembers Allah Azza wa Jal, then the shaytaan, he sinks away. Scurries away. The shaytaan has no influence over the person who remembers Allah Azza wa Jal constantly. This is where the awliya ikram have this great benefit, this great blessing, that they're always in the constant remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the shaytaan has no effect on them. But as soon as the son of Adam is heedless and opens his heart, then the whispers begin. Again, opening the door of heedlessness. Now finally, how to differentiate a good idea, between Allah Azza wa Jal and the angelic inspiring side you mulhim. Number 1, if a good idea is strong and is clear and you are fully determined, then know it's from Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal only gives what is good, straight to the point, bang, that you will do this. And if the idea is wavering, not so strong, again, having that conversation, should I really do this, should I not? Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. That's from mulhim. He's giving you that idea. Now that you know it's from mulhim, inshallah, you listen to it more. This is from mulhim, he only wants goodness for me, so I will go and do it, inshallah. Yeah? Now, the second part to this is, if the idea is in the wake of some effort, in the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal, then the idea is from Allah Azza wa Jal. Meaning, let's say for example, mulhim inspires you. You go into bed, but mulhim inspires you. He says, go do wuzu. Go do wuzu. It's sunnah to sleep whilst you have wuzu. And then you've done wuzu. And mulhim's in your head again. Read 2 rakats, tayatul wuzu. So you read 2 rakats, tayatul wuzu. And then you go back to bed. You've done this. You've done something that pleases Allah Azza wa Jal. Nafal worship is how you get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. You listen to mulhim. And now you have this idea in your head. I am definitely going to wake up for tahajjud. I am going to read the tahajjud. This idea that you're so firm on, that you really want to do, is from Allah Azza wa Jal. Because you have been obedient to Allah Azza wa Jal. You have done some worship to Allah Azza wa Jal. And now He's going to make you one of those people that worships whilst other people are sleeping. Subhanallah. So you do nafal worship for Allah Azza wa Jal. And He blesses you with more nafal worship, inshallah Azza wa Jal. So that's how you can differentiate with the ideas that we gain in our mind. That's the main topic for today. How to differentiate between the minds that enter the thoughts that enter our heads, the notions, the ideas, so that we're more aware. Is it from the shaitan? Is it from the nafs? Is it from Allah Azza wa Jal? Is it from mulhim? And then we can decide and give this, because now we have the knowledge, that we can give a proper answer to ourselves and do the act that we want to do and stay away from the act that we don't want to do. Yeah? So, having gone through all this, I'm going to tell you 2 more things that split. Yeah? So, hastiness. Now I'm going to tell you some attacks from the shaitan. Hastiness is from the shaitan, except from 5 things. Where he doesn't want you to hurry. Shaitan does not want you to hurry in these 5 things. Number 1, to marry off a woman when she reaches the age of maturity. Yeah? Now that's quite simple. We understand this. If you don't marry off the woman from the age when she reaches maturity, then what can happen? What can happen is a man and a woman get together. A man will have an illicit relationship, a legitimate relationship, a haram relationship. So that's what can happen. Okay? There you go. Number 2. Settle a debt when it falls for the date of repayment. Now, the shaitan will want you to delay settling that debt. Because why? Let's say that debt still hangs over you. You're getting sin because you agreed to this day to pay it back, but you haven't. So now, you're going to be getting sin, and who knows, you may even die in that state where you still got to pay it back. And you'll have that with you against you on the day of judgment. Number 3. Hurry and bury the dead man. The shaitan doesn't want you to do this. He wants you, he has to be buried in this city or in this country. This is what the shaitan wants. People don't realize this. That's what the shaitan wants. You know, when the dead person, when they're in the coffin, yeah, and people are discussing, it needs to be buried here, it needs to be buried there. You know what the dead person is saying to these people? He's saying, woe to you people! Woe to you people! Bury me! Bury me! And yet they're discussing, let's take him to Bradford, he has to be buried in Birmingham or Pakistan. You know what I mean? Be buried where the person passed away. For example, if you passed away in Medina Street, they're not going to say, bury with his family in Bradford. No. Bury him in Jannat al-Baqi. So be buried where the closest graveyard is, the closest Muslim graveyard that person is to. Yeah? That's how it should be. Number 4, to be hospitable to a guest. The shaitan does not want you to be hospitable to a guest. Rasulullah ﷺ was the most hospitable person to his guests. There's a story where Rasulullah ﷺ had many people over, and they all left the state at the time, but there was 2 people left, and they were just having conversation between themselves in the company of Rasulullah ﷺ. And Rasulullah ﷺ never once did he say, look, come on, it's time to leave now. Come on, it's time to go. Rasulullah ﷺ never did that. You know, sometimes when we have people over, they overstay their welcome. You look at your time, you know what I mean? Come on, he wants some more, he wants tea now. Let's bring some tea, inshallah. You know what I mean? They've eaten their food and whatnot. They overstay their welcome. But Rasulullah ﷺ never said, he just stood there patiently and waited and smiled. That's how Rasulullah ﷺ is, and we should try and be as much like him as possible. And eventually they left themselves. And that's how hospitable Rasulullah ﷺ is. And that's how we should be. And then finally, number 5, repenting for a sin as soon as it is committed. The shaitan does not want you to repent as soon as the sin's committed. Why? Fairly obvious. Fairly obvious. What happens if you die? What happens if you die without repenting for that sin?
Yeah.
Exactly. So the shaitan wants you to procrastinate in all these 5 things. Now the second thing. 7 attacks from the shaitan that he'll whisper to you. Be very aware of this. Because you'll realize when I say these to you, oh my gosh, this happens to me. This comes into my head. This is what I think. Number 1. The shaitan will forbid you to practice Islam. He'll say, oh, don't read namaz. Don't go to the masjid. Don't fast on this day. Don't go do hajj. Don't give charity. Don't practice Islam, is what the shaitan will say to you in your head. Now, it's not like, oh, someone's actually whispering. It's not someone's like, oh, listen, don't practice Islam. That's not how it is. It's a mind that's already in your head. So it'll come up to Maghrib time and you're not going to read it because that's in your head from the shaitan. But what do we say to counteract this? I've told you what the shaitan says to us. What do we reply back? What can I reply back? Say no to the shaitan. I am in such need of this provision, of this namaz, of this Islam, of this worship for my hereafter. I need this. Without it, I am doomed. Say this to yourself when you hear these things. Number 2, the second attack. The shaitan will make you fall into procrastination. He'll make you delay. So for example, it's Maghrib time, let's say. Now Maghrib time is mustahab to read as early as possible. It's makruh when you delay it to such an extent that you can see the stars. So it should be read before then, but some people will still delay until like the final 5 minutes before Isha. Yeah? So the shaitan will say to you, delay the namaz, relax bro, you got enough time. You got enough time. Wait, and then who knows, you may even miss it because you waited that long. Who knows that he won't make you busy in something, in some worldly matter, at that time when you thought, okay, I'll wait then and then I'll read it. Read it as soon as you remember, because that's the safest opinion and option. Safest opinion option. Read it as soon as you remember, bang, do it. Do not be lazy. Make your life a schedule. That's what people say. If you live in a schedule, I can tell you, testify to these differences. I live at home, it's different. As soon as I go to Jamia and there's a schedule in my life, there's so much more difference. So much more difference. And it's easier. Put a schedule in your life and live to that schedule, inshallah. Number 3. Number 2. Back to number 2 again. So this is what the shaitan says to you. He'll tell you to procrastinate. What do you say back? The reply is that, okay, shaitan, my final time is not known in my hands. I do not know when I will die. And if I delay the work for tomorrow, then what have I done today? What about the work for today? Every work has its own day. Always think about today, not tomorrow. Today, what am I supposed to do today? Tomorrow is never guaranteed for us, my brothers. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. So always worry about today. Number 3. When we get this a lot, all of us. The shaitan will make you hurry and do your worship. He'll make you hurry and read your namaz. He'll make you hurry read that book. He'll make you hurry do your tasbih quickly. He'll make you hurry, and there will be no satisfaction in that work that you have done. He'll say, so you have in namaz sometimes, I'm reading, or quickly finish it off, you have something to do. Take your time. Take your time for the pleasure of Allah. Go against your desires and go against what shaitan says. And what's the reply to this then? What's the reply? The reply is that a little bit of work done in completion, meaning no mistakes. Because sometimes when we hurry, we can make mistakes. So, taking your time, making sure it's done right, even if it's one namaz, yeah, compared to 1,000 namazes that have been hurried and they made all mistakes, which one's going to be accepted? The one namaz that's done correctly, not the 1,000 that have been done wrong. So take your time and do it correctly and gain the pleasure of Allah. Number 4, the shaitan will make you do things to gain people's admiration. Or give that money to charity so that people think, oh yeah, you're a charitable geezer. You're a person who gives money. You know, they'll think, oh, mashallah, this guy is a charitable geezer. So do that. But then you got to realize, if I do this, it's for the people. So the reply to this is, I do not need approval of anyone, even the people, apart from Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the only being I need approval from. Allah Azza wa Jal, my Lord, my sustainer, my creator. Number 5. The Shaytaan will put pride and arrogance inside of you about your worship. That look, how much worship have you done? You're a pious Muslim, bro. You read the Hajj for 40 nights in a row. You fast, you do nafil namazes, you do nafil fast. You're bare pious compared to everyone else. This is the wrong way to think, my brothers. The wrong way to think. Yes, sometimes we feel ourselves getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, but we have to realize, how do I know any of this worship has been accepted? As soon as an atom's amount of arrogance enters our hearts over this worship, or pride, then it's all gone away, bus. All gone away, all invalid. So be very careful. So we have to say to Allah, to the Shaytaan, when he says this, how can I have pride in my worship if I don't even know if this worship has been accepted in the holy court of Allah Azza wa Jal? People go on about even Hajj, mashallah. Now in Hajj last year, I'm Haji now. How do you know that Hajj was accepted? You don't want to find out on the day of judgment because of your arrogance, because of your pride, that Allah Azza wa Jal tells you your Hajj has not been accepted. That's the worst thing you want to find out. So make yourself as sincere and as humble as possible. Follow the ways of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number 6. The Shaytaan will make you want to make your private worship, the amount you do it in a private time, known to the world, and then continue it in front of everyone so that they're witness of it. For example, the tahajjud namaz again. So you read that in your own time. Fasting is a worship that no one knows about until you tell someone. So you've kept, let's say, 14 nafil fast, or you read the Hajj 40 nights in a row. The Shaytaan will tell you, tell other people. Because you tell them, their rating of you goes higher, their thinking of you goes higher. But you're doing this for the pleasure of the people, that you want to be good inside the people. Allah bestows that. But anyway, that's what the Shaytaan tells you to do. Tell him that this guy, or tell this guy that I've read 40 tahajjud. Tell this guy that I've kept fast for 40 days in a row. Yeah? That's what the Shaytaan will tell you. So what's the reply to this? How can we tell the Shaytaan against this? Say, oh accursed, till now you constantly come to corrupt me. And now you're telling me to do good in front of people. You're telling me to carry on my worship. So do my nafs, but tell everyone. Do my fast and tell everyone. Do the hajj, but in front of everyone. Do the nafil namazes, but in front of everyone. So that they can see that I'm doing this. That's what the Shaytaan is telling me. But you're telling me to do this, and how wrong you are. You still want my destruction. That I'll do this for the people in front of them, but not at private home, because it makes my ranks, it makes their thinking of me go higher. I want to be popular with the people. That's what the Shaytaan will put in your head. So you need to tell him, indeed, I am a slave of Allah Azza wa Jal. And indeed, Allah Azza wa Jal is my master. If He Azza wa Jal wills, then He Azza wa Jal will show my deeds and nur to the people. And if He desires, if Allah Azza wa Jal desires, He will hide my nur and He will hide my deeds from the people. If He wishes, Azza wa Jal, then I will be important. If not, then I will be unimportant. This is all in the hands of my Lord Azza wa Jal. I do not care if it's shown to people or not. I only care that is between me and Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's the reply to this satanic whisper, number 6. And finally, number 7. The Shaytaan comes into your head and he says, you know, everything's decreed, right? Everything has already been written on the sacred tablet, by the sacred pen. Everything's already been written. So what you do, you can't change things. Why are you trying for? Everything's already been written. Why are you trying for? Why are you doing this good deed? Why not just do what you want? It's already been written. Whether you went heaven or hell, you can't change it. It's already been written. And then we think to ourselves, hang on a minute, yeah, everything has been written. Has been written, hasn't it? Allah knows that we're going to do good. Allah knows that we're going to do bad. Everything has been written. But what is the reply? What is the reply to this when you think, okay, yes? The reply is, Allah Azza wa Jal is my creator. And I am His slave. I have to be obedient to Allah Azza wa Jal, to my Lord, and follow His commandments like a true slave to a Lord, regardless of what has been decreed to me, regardless of what has been decreed for me, regardless of what has been decided for me. If it is decreed that I am an unfortunate person, then I am in need of any good deed that I can get. I am in need of any good deed that I can get, and constantly to do good deeds, because it is better on that day, on the day of judgment. Let's say if I am destined to go to hell, if that's in my decree, at least I can appear in front of my Lord, and He may change His decision, that because I came in front of Him as an obedient servant. Maybe not the best of ones, but I came as an obedient. I tried to be an obedient servant instead of being a person who is disobedient. And that's the reply. Try your best no matter what. We've seen that people, you've heard stories that someone will be judged, that he has no good deeds, only bad deeds, he'll be going to hell. Allah will send him towards Jahannam. But he will stay there and continue looking at Allah Azza wa Jal, and he will say, Ya Allah, Allah will say, why are you not gone yet? You're not being dragged yet. Why? And he will say to Allah, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, this is the only time that I'll be able to see you. This is the only time that I'll be able to be in your presence. The only time. And so I want to make this time as long as possible. And because of that, what that man said, because of the love he has for Allah Azza wa Jal, just in that moment, Allah Azza wa Jal will forgive him and send him to Jannat. He'll send him to Jannat, where he'll then have the companionship of all the people in Jannat, and he'll be able to see Allah Azza wa Jal, the veil will be removed. Because of that one sentence. Have hope in Allah Azza wa Jal's mercy, because Allah Azza wa Jal's mercy is so much. It's bigger than our sins. Bigger than our sins. Have hope. Not too much hope. Not too much hope. Yeah, we want to be obedient slaves to Allah, so we're not disobedient slaves. So those are the 7 things. Inshallah, may Allah, inshallah, let's we'll remember this, inshallah, and pass it on to others. May Allah give us the ability to fight against the shaitan in our nafs and protect us against the shaitan in our nafs. Ameen. Bijahi Nabi.